Anthony Quinn finally breaks silence on Charles Bronson. Anthony Quinn was born Manuel Antonio Rodolfo Quinn Huajaca on April 21, 1915 in Chihuahua, Mexico. Anthony Quinn's life story was a testament to perseverance and reinvention in itself. The son of a Mexican father of Irish descent and a Mexican mother, Quinn experienced hardship early in life. His family moved to Los Angeles during his childhood where poverty shaped his formative years. Quinn worked various manual jobs including boxing and construction to help support his family. Experiences that later lent authenticity and grit to the characters he portrayed on screen. A pivotal moment in Quinn's life came through his interest in art and architecture. He studied under the legendary architect Frank Lloyd Wright, who encouraged him to pursue acting after recognizing his expressive power and distinctive presence. This guidance set Quinn on a path that would ultimately transform him into one of Hollywood's most enduring stars. Quinn began his acting career in the 1930s, often cast in minor or stereotypical ethnic roles due to the limitations imposed by Hollywood at the time. Despite these obstacles, he steadily honed his craft, determined to transcend TYP casting. His breakthrough came in the early 1950s when his performances revealed a depth and emotional complexity that could no longer be ignored. His most significant early triumph arrived with Viva Zapata 1952, in which he portrayed Eufemio Zapata, the volatile brother of revolutionary Emiliano Zapata. The role earned Quinn his first Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor, making him the first Mexican-born actor to win an Oscar. He followed this achievement with a second Oscar for Lust for Life 1956, in which he delivered a powerful and deeply moving portrayal of painter Paul Gauguin. These accolades cemented his place as a serious actor of remarkable range and emotional power. Anthony Quinn's career reached iconic status with his unforgettable performance as Alexis Zorba in Zorba the Greek 1964. The role became synonymous with Quinn himself, exuberant, philosophical, passionate, and fiercely alive. His portrayal earned him an Academy Award nomination for Best Actor and introduced him to a new generation of audiences worldwide. Zorba was not merely a character. He became a symbol of joy, resilience, and the indomitable human spirit, qualities that reflected Quinn's own outlook on life. Throughout his career, Quinn appeared in more than 150 films, working across genres and languages. He portrayed historical and religious figures such as Jesus Christ in El Strada, Barabbas in Barabbas 1961, and Ada Abui in Lawrence of Arabia 1962, another of his most celebrated roles. In each performance, Quinn brought dignity and complexity to characters who might otherwise have been reduced to archetypes. His ability to convey both strength and vulnerability made his portrayals resonate deeply with audiences across cultures. Beyond acting, Anthony Quinn was also a gifted painter, sculptor, and writer. His artwork was exhibited in galleries around the world, reflecting his deep appreciation for beauty, form, and cultural expression. Quinn believed that creativity was not limited to one medium, and he approached art with the same passion and fearlessness that defined his acting career. His written works, including memoirs, offered insight into a man who constantly questioned identity, purpose, and the meaning of success. Anthony Quinn's personal life was as expansive, complicated, and passionate as the larger-than-life characters he portrayed on screen. His marriages and relationships unfolded over many decades and reflected both his intense devotion to family and his inability to restrain his restless, impulsive nature. Anthony Quinn married actress Catherine Deal in 1937, a union that firmly connected him to the inner circle of Hollywood royalty. Catherine was the adopted daughter of legendary director and producer Cecil B. Deal, one of the most powerful figures in the film industry at the time. For the young Quinn, who had grown up in poverty after immigrating from Mexico and had struggled through years of bit parts and rejection, the marriage represented both emotional stability and professional opportunity. Through the Deal family, Quinn gained access to influential networks that helped advance his early career. Though he was always determined to succeed on his own merits rather than rely solely on family connections. During their long marriage, Anthony and Catherine had 5 children, and for many years, they maintained the outward appearance of a solid Hollywood family. Catherine was deeply committed to creating a stable home and supporting Quinn as his career gradually rose from supporting roles to major dramatic performances. However, Quinn's personal demons, intense temperament, and insatiable appetite for life began to strain the marriage. As his fame increased, so did his reputation for infidelity. He openly acknowledged later in life that he was often unfaithful, driven by impulse, ego, and a desire for constant emotional and physical stimulation. These repeated betrayals caused deep pain and eroded the foundation of trust between him and Catherine. After nearly 3 decades together, marked by both shared success and growing resentment, their marriage finally ended in divorce in 1965, closing a long and complicated chapter of his life. In 1966, just a year after his first divorce, Anthony Quinn married Yolanda A. DeLaury, an Italian costume designer who was significantly younger than him. Yolanda brought a European sensibility and artistic temperament into Quinn's life, and their relationship initially offered him a renewed sense of passion and emotional reinvention. Together they had 3 children, and for a time Quinn appeared committed to building another family life, balancing his work between Hollywood and Europe. Yolanda was deeply involved in his daily life and career, often managing household affairs, while Quinn continued acting, painting, writing, and traveling extensively. Despite the appearance of domestic stability, this marriage too was deeply affected by Quinn's inability to remain faithful. Over the course of his marriage to Yolanda, he carried on a long-term relationship with Fredel Dunbar, with whom he fathered 2 children. This relationship existed parallel to his marriage and eventually became public, causing emotional turmoil and legal complications. Beyond this sustained affair, Quinn was also widely rumored and in some cases openly acknowledged to have had romantic relationships with some of the most iconic actresses of Hollywood's golden age, including Carole Lombard, Rita Hayworth, Ingrid Bergman, and Maureen O'Hara. These affairs, whether brief or prolonged, contributed to his image as a charismatic but deeply flawed romantic figure, admired for his passion, yet criticized for the pain he left in his wake. By the 1990s, after more than 3 decades together, the marriage between Anthony Quinn and Yolanda A. DeLaury had deteriorated beyond repair. The final breaking point came with Quinn's affair with his secretary, Catherine Benvin, a relationship that once again resulted in the birth of 2 children. The emotional strain, compounded by years of infidelity and public embarrassment, led to the end of his marriage to Yolanda in 1997. The divorce was bitter and highly publicized, reflecting the accumulated damage of years of unresolved conflict. Following the dissolution of his second marriage, Anthony Quinn married Catherine Benvin, formalizing a relationship that had already profoundly altered his personal life. Despite his advanced age at the time, Quinn remained energetically involved in family life, embracing fatherhood once more and expressing pride in his children. This final marriage represented both continuity and contradiction. It reflected his enduring need for companionship and family, even as it underscored the patterns of behavior that had defined his romantic life for decades. For decades, Anthony Quinn was asked about many of his legendary contemporaries. Yet, he remained notably reserved when the conversation turned to Charles Bronson. The 2 men were often mentioned in the same breath, rugged physical actors who projected raw masculinity and an unmistakable sense of danger on screen. Only later in life did Quinn finally choose to speak candidly about Bronson, offering reflections that were neither sensational nor dismissive, but deeply revealing of his respect for the man behind the intimidating image. Quinn acknowledged that Bronson's screen persona was often misunderstood. People saw Charles as this unbreakable wall of stone, Quinn said. But that was only the armor he wore for the world. Beneath it was a man who had clawed his way up from nothing. Quinn, who himself came from poverty and hardship, recognized a kindred spirit in Bronson. Both men had grown up knowing hunger, struggle, and the constant pressure to survive. And Quinn believed this shared background shaped Bronson's intense presence on screen. Reflecting on Bronson's acting style, Quinn dismissed the notion that Bronson was limited or one-dimensional. Charles didn't waste words, Quinn explained. Every movement, every silence meant something. That takes discipline. That takes intelligence. Quinn admired how Bronson could dominate a scene without grand speeches or theatrical gestures, relying instead on a quiet, simmering intensity that audiences found impossible to ignore. Quinn also addressed Bronson's reputation as a tough, sometimes unapproachable figure in Hollywood. He was guarded, Quinn admitted, and for good reason. When you come from where we came from, you don't trust easily. According to Quinn, Bronson's toughness was less about ego and more about self-preservation. He had learned early that vulnerability could be exploited, and he carried that lesson with him into his career. Despite their similarities, Chu